Hey, welcome back. Today I've got some stuff that'll keep you on edge. Drop a like and subscribe if you want more. Let's get into it. My brother, 19-year-old male, sent me a video at 3 a.m. and I think he's overdosing right now. I'm 400 miles away and no one is picking up the phone. This was posted to r/offmychest 4 days ago by throwaway Danny04. I want to warn you now, this story is being written in real time. OP is not looking back on something that already happened. She is living it as she types. She doesn't have a throwaway because she's embarrassed. She has one because she doesn't know yet if this story ends with a funeral. Here's how it starts. I, 24-year-old female, am sitting in my dorm room right now and my hands won't stop shaking, so if this is all over the place, I'm sorry. It's 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I was just scrolling on my phone when I got a video message from my little brother, 19-year-old male. I almost didn't open it because he sends me random stuff all the time. Memes, TikToks, whatever. I wish to God I hadn't opened this one. It's our childhood bathroom. The one with the ugly green tiles Mom always said she'd replace but never did. And he's on the floor, slumped sideways against the bathtub, barely holding the phone up. His eyes are half shut. I thought maybe he was drunk at first. I played it back with the volume all the way up, and that's when I caught it. He's slurring, but he says, "I already took them all." I played it a third time because I was praying I heard wrong. And on that third watch, I wasn't looking at him anymore. I was looking at the mirror behind him. On the bathroom counter, reflected in the glass, there are dozens of empty blister packs. They're not scattered around, they're lined up, arranged almost perfectly, like he took his time laying each one out flat before he hit record. I started screaming. My roommate shot up out of bed, and I couldn't even get a sentence out. I've called my mom 6 times now. She sleeps like the dead, she never answers, but I can't stop dialing. I'm 400 miles away, I can't get to him, nobody is picking up. And that is where the post starts. A 24-year-old girl sitting alone in a dorm room at 3 a.m., 400 miles from home, calling a phone that just keeps ringing into nothing. So OP is standing in her dorm room at 3 a.m., lights on, that video still pulled up on her screen. And what follows is her documenting everything as it unfolds in real time. This is where the desperation really takes over. Because here is the thing about being 400 miles away when someone you love might be dying. You cannot drive there fast enough. You cannot will yourself through the distance. And the panic does not care that it is the middle of the night. I called my mom 9 times. 9. Every single one went to voicemail. I called my brother back. Straight to voicemail. Phone must have died. I tried Mrs. Patterson next door, family friend since forever. No answer at 3 a.m. I kept replaying the video, zooming in on the blister packs behind him, trying to read the labels. My hands were shaking too hard to screenshot anything. I called 911, told the dispatcher I'm 400 miles away and my brother might be overdosing at my mother's address. She said they'd send someone but couldn't guarantee when. She asked if I had anyone nearby who could check on him, and I just broke down because, no, that's why I'm calling you. I have never felt helplessness like that. Staring at a screen showing my brother on that floor and not being able to reach through it. I texted him, "I'm coming. Please stay awake. Please." I threw clothes in a bag, didn't lock my door, and I was in my car by 3:47 a.m. On the highway doing 90 with my phone on the dash, calling my mom every few minutes, watching the screen light up and go dark over and over. She is alone on a dark highway at 4 in the morning, with nothing but the sound of her mother's voicemail greeting playing on a loop. No word from the dispatcher, no confirmation her brother is still breathing. Just headlights and silence, and a phone that will not stop going to voicemail. And she still has 5 or 6 hours of driving ahead of her. And the thing she cannot shake, the thing playing on a loop in her head louder than the engine, is that video. Her little brother on that bathroom floor. What comes next is 2 hours that OP describes as the longest of her life. And honestly, the way she writes it, you feel every mile. I drove for almost 2 hours before anyone picked up. Nothing but my breathing and the road and every worst case on a loop. At 5:02 a.m., Mrs. Delgado finally answered. I was sobbing so hard she couldn't understand me. I told her something was wrong with Marcus and to go to the house. She walked over and called me back 6 minutes later. There was already an ambulance out front. Lights on, door open. I pulled over and screamed into my steering wheel. She couldn't tell me if he was alive. I got back on the road. Next 2 hours in complete silence. No music, nothing. I checked my phone at every red light in every small town. Called my mom 11 more times. Every single one straight to voicemail. Not ringing, then voicemail. Straight there. Like the phone was off, or like I was blocked. I didn't want to think about that yet. Got home at 8:04, house empty, front door unlocked, his bathroom light still on. Drove to St. Luke's. Sat in the ER waiting room 40 minutes before someone told me he was stable and conscious. The comments came in fast on this one, and a lot of people zeroed in on the same thing OP was already starting to wonder about. I'm literally shaking reading this. The part where you keep calling your mom and it goes straight to voicemail is the most terrifying thing I've read on here. Please tell me you're documenting everything your mother did. The blocked number, the timeline, all of it. You're going to need it if guardianship goes to court. I'm an ER nurse. The fact that he lined the blister packs up like that, that's not impulsive. That's someone who planned this for a while and wanted it to be seen. Please get him help beyond the hold. That's what the social worker said too. He apparently told them he'd been thinking about it for weeks, but kept going back and forth on whether to actually take them or just stage it. The fact that he chose to stage it honestly scares me more, because it means he sat there long enough to decide the message mattered more than the act. I'm looking into residential programs now. The 72 hours isn't enough. A few days later, OP came back with an update post. And I need you to brace yourself, because this is not the update anyone was expecting. I drove 400 miles, and what I found was worse than what I thought. I got to the hospital expecting the worst. When I walked into his room, he was sitting up in bed, totally alert, talking to a nurse like nothing happened. The paramedics told me when they arrived he was conscious and calm. He never took a single pill. He emptied every blister pack down the bathroom drain, arranged the empty packs on the counter, and filmed that video on purpose. He sent it to see if anyone would come. I sat there staring at him, and I could not even speak. Then I asked about Mom, why she never picked up. He just looked at me and said, "Check her phone." So I did. I drove to the house and went through her call settings while she stood in the kitchen watching me. His number was in her blocked contacts. She blocked him 3 weeks ago after they fought about him dropping out of community college. 3 weeks. Every call I made that night begging her to check on her son, she could have answered those. But his calls were not even getting through. The silence was not because she was sleeping. It was because she decided he did not deserve to reach her. And my brother knew. He knew she blocked him. That video was not a cry for help. It was a test. And our mother failed it 3 weeks before he even pressed record. Let that sink in for a second. A 19-year-old boy staged the worst night of his sister's life just to answer one question. Does anyone in my family care enough to show up? The comments on this one were brutal. The video detail with the mirror is going to stay with me. He wanted you to see the packets. He was showing you evidence. Your mom blocked her own 19-year-old son's number. I need to sit with that for a minute because I genuinely cannot process it. And then she denied it. That's the part that makes my blood run cold. She watched her daughter pull up the blocked contacts list and still tried to say it wasn't intentional. That's not a mistake, that's a pattern. So here is where things landed. OP came back a few days later with one final update. I drove 400 miles and what I found was worse than what I thought. My brother was placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold after everything that happened. Our mother finally showed up at the hospital the next morning. When I asked her point blank why she never answered any of my calls that night, she looked me dead in the face and said she had no idea what I was talking about. She denied ever blocking his number. So I took her phone right there in the hospital hallway, opened settings, and showed her his contacts sitting in the blocked list. She went quiet for about 10 seconds. Then her defense was, he needed to learn consequences. That was her answer. Her 19-year-old son almost died, and her explanation was consequences. I'm pursuing emergency guardianship now. I don't care what it takes or what it costs me. The last night I visited him before discharge, I was sitting next to his bed, and he looked over at me and asked, real quiet, "Would you have come if there was no video?" I told him yes. I told him I would always come no matter what. But I haven't been able to sleep since that conversation because I don't think he believed me. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm not entirely sure I believe me either. He's in outpatient therapy now. He moved in with me in my college town. We eat dinner together every night. We're figuring it out. That last line from her brother is going to follow me for a while. Would you have come if there was no video? Absolutely destroyed me. That kid has been screaming into a void, and the one person who was supposed to hear him put him on mute. Here is what stays with me about this one. The scariest part of this story is not the video at 3 a.m. It is the 3 weeks of silence before it. A block number is a door closing quietly. A 19-year-old filming himself slumped against a bathtub at 3 a.m. is someone knocking on that door one last time, hoping anyone on the other side still cares enough to open it. But at least this one has an ending worth holding on to. All right, on to the next one. My smart lock has been logging door unlocks at 3:17 a.m. every night for the past 2 weeks. I live alone, 26-year-old female. This next story came out of r/Let's Not Meet, posted 3 days ago by a user called Locked Out Lurker. And the thing that makes this one hit different is not what happens, it is when it started. The post starts off almost hopeful, like she finally caught a break. That does not last. So I, 26-year-old female, moved into a ground floor apartment about a month ago. My old place got broken into while I was at work. Nothing major was taken, but someone had gone through my stuff, moved things around, and it messed me up bad. I couldn't sleep there anymore. So I found this new place, and the first thing I did was install a smart lock and a Ring camera outside my front door. For the first time in months, I actually felt safe. I could see who was at my door. I could lock and unlock remotely. I had a log of every single entry. It felt like control. I was finally sleeping through the night. 2 weeks in, I'm in bed scrolling through my phone, and I open the smart lock app out of pure boredom. And that's when I see it. There are unlock entries logged at 3:17 a.m. Not just once, nearly every single night since I moved in. I haven't been up at 3:17 a.m. a single time. I don't sleepwalk. I live alone. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. I went into the settings and found a second user profile linked to my lock. It was registered the day before I moved in, and the profile name, it was my initials. My actual initials. Someone set up access to my apartment before I ever spent one night here. That last detail is what changes everything here. Not the timestamps, not the 3:17 a.m. pattern. The fact that someone built themselves a key to her life before she even started living it, and she had no idea until she opened an app out of boredom. This is where the story shifts from creepy to something that crawls under your skin and stays there. She's staring at this second user profile in her smart lock app. Someone configured access to her apartment before she ever spent a single night there. So she does what any of us would do. She picks up the phone. I called the smart lock company first thing that morning. Spent over an hour on hold before I got someone who actually understood what I was describing. They confirmed it. The second profile was real, registered the day before my move-in date, tied to a burner email address they couldn't trace. They said they'd never seen anything like it and offered to escalate the ticket. Great, super helpful. I changed every code on the lock immediately. New PIN, new backup code, removed the second profile entirely. But the dread didn't leave. It just sat in my chest like a brick. I started pulling my Ring camera footage from the past 2 weeks, scrubbing through every single night around 3:17 a.m. Nothing. Not one person visible in the hallway. The camera covers the exterior corridor, but whoever was doing this either knew the angle or knew when to move. There's a blind spot right near the stairwell door, and they were clearly using it. I called my building manager, and he literally laughed. Said it was probably a software glitch, and that smart locks do weird stuff all the time. I wanted to throw my phone at the wall. That afternoon, I went out and bought 2 hidden cameras. One for the living room pointed directly at the front door, one small enough to sit on my bedroom bookshelf. I've been sleeping with every light on and a kitchen knife under my pillow since that morning. I can't explain what it feels like to know that for 2 straight weeks, someone was walking into your apartment while you slept. Your body was just lying there, unconscious, completely defenseless, and you never once woke up. That last part just hits different. Not the break-in itself, the fact that she was right there, asleep every single time, and never had any idea until she checked an app on a whim. But she's done being the person who waits for someone else to take this seriously. The hidden cameras are in place, and what they capture next is the part of this story you are genuinely not prepared for. So OP sets up the cameras, one in the living room, aimed right at the front door, one tucked on her bedroom bookshelf. And then she does something I genuinely don't think I could do. She goes to sleep. I told myself I had to act normal. If whoever this was had been watching me long enough to know my routine, any change might tip them off. So I took my melatonin at 10, like always, turned off the lights, and got into bed. First night, nothing on the footage. Second night, I almost didn't check. I was sitting on my couch with my coffee, and I opened the app and scrubbed to 3:17 a.m. The door opens. No hesitation. A man walks in like he's coming home from work. He doesn't rush, he doesn't look around. He walks straight through my living room, past the kitchen, down the hallway. The bedroom camera picks him up next. He stops in my doorway, and he just stands there. I could see myself sleeping in the frame, my own body curled up under the blankets, and this man 5 feet away watching me. He stood there for almost 4 minutes. Then he turned around, walked back through the apartment, and left, closed the door behind him. I called 911 before the video even finished playing. The comments on this one hit exactly how you'd think. 3:17 every single night. Not random. That level of routine means he's done this before and he's comfortable doing it. That terrifies me more than anything. It terrifies me too because I'm a deep sleeper. I take melatonin every night around 10. I keep wondering if he somehow knew that, if he watched me long enough to learn my routine before he ever came inside. The police said the earliest log entry was actually 2 days after I moved in. 2 days. I hadn't even finished unpacking. The fact that the profile was created the day before you moved in means he was watching your move-in date. He planned this. Please tell me you're not still sleeping there. Him just standing in the doorway watching you sleep is the most horror movie thing I've ever read on this sub, and it's real. I genuinely feel sick reading this. And that last point is what sits with me. This wasn't reckless, this was rehearsed. A few days later, OP came back with an update post. And this is where it stops feeling like a creepy inconvenience and starts feeling like something genuinely sinister. I watched the footage, and I haven't slept in 4 days. So the police came. They pulled the smart lock data and traced the access code back to the previous tenant, a woman named Mara, who lived in my unit before me. Mara has been reported missing for 8 months. But here is the part that broke me. The man on my hidden camera footage is not Mara, not even close. I showed the footage to my building manager and he went completely white. He recognized the guy immediately. A maintenance worker named Dale, who was fired over a year ago. Apparently Dale kept a master fob that let him clone smart lock profiles for any unit in the building. Mara's profile was never deactivated after she went missing, and Dale had been using her cloned credentials to walk into my apartment every single night. The police sat me down and told me Mara's disappearance is now being re-examined in direct connection with Dale. They told me I need to leave the apartment immediately. I filed for a restraining order the same afternoon. I am writing this from my friend's couch 2 towns over, and I still check every lock in her house before I try to sleep. I cannot stop. That last detail about still checking the locks? Yeah. But the comment section went somewhere even heavier. I work in property management, and this is a massive liability issue. Your building manager should have reset all smart lock profiles between tenants. I'd be talking to a lawyer yesterday. This. And I'd also be asking the building manager how a fired employee still had a master fob a full year later. That's not an oversight, that's negligence. OP has a case here. I literally just got up and checked my smart lock app because of this post. OP, I am so sorry this happened to you. And the question nobody could shake was the obvious one. If Dale had been doing this to OP for 2 weeks, what exactly had he been doing to Mara for however long she lived there before she disappeared? So here is where everything lands. OP came back a few days later with one final update. I watched the footage, and I haven't slept in 4 days. I'm writing this from my parents' house 2 states away. I moved out 5 days after my last post. Didn't finish packing, just threw what I could into bags and drove straight through the night. The maintenance worker was arrested, but he posted bail within 48 hours. My restraining order went through, but honestly, a piece of paper doesn't make me feel safe. Here's what really broke me though. After I left, building management finally agreed to do a full security review. They pulled hallway camera footage going back 6 months. He wasn't just coming to my unit. He visited at least 4 other apartments on different nights. Different floors, different schedules. Some of those tenants are women who are still living there and had no idea someone was entering their homes while they slept. I can't stop thinking about that. I haven't slept through the night since I watched that footage. Every small sound wakes me up. I check my parents' front door 5 or 6 times before I can even try to lie down. I bought the smart lock because I wanted to feel safe. It ended up being the exact thing that gave him a way in. One comment cut right to it. The part where the code is registered under your initials is what's making my skin crawl. He wanted it to look like your profile if anyone glanced at the app. That's not impulsive, that's methodical. And that is what makes this one linger. The smart lock didn't malfunction. It worked exactly as designed, just for the wrong person. OP did everything right. New place, new lock, cameras at every angle. None of it mattered because the threat was already baked into the system before she spent a single night there. Your locked door, your sleeping body, the one space that is supposed to be yours alone, and someone just keyed right through it. That is the last story for today.